For the first time in 5 years, condo sales are up in Palm Beach County. How much of it has to do with the Mar-a-Lago effect? That is, President Trump spends practically every weekend over at his estate called Mar-a-Lago. It's located in Palm Beach Island. Just a short little bridge trip right along the causeway away from downtown West Palm Beach. As a result of that, we are starting to see sales spike in Palm Beach County, but we're also seeing a pullback in pricing. We're seeing prices fall. Palm Beach County, both on an average price per square foot basis as well as a median per square foot basis. And guess what happened to the luxury prices? They're also coming down. We're going to discuss all that today on this special report having to do with the 2025-2026 winter buying season, which goes from November through April. We're now in the summer buying season. We're running the numbers, and we're going to tell you what we found in Palm Beach County. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. We ran the numbers, we put them all together, and we're taking you back 20 years. We're going all the way back 20 years. You're going to be able to see how the Palm Beach County condo market has ebbed and how it has flowed. And what I can tell you is prices are on their way down. If you go back to the great boom and bust of 2002 to 2011 down here in South Florida, when everybody thought trees would grow to the moon, and then all of a sudden it all crapped out. Some similarities. What were some of the similarities? Well, back then, market ended up peaking at about 2006, 2007. Ultimately bottomed out on a sales perspective in 2008. But you know when prices finally hit a bottom? 2010. There was a lag, roughly 2 years. The question is, now that sales are actually on their way up year over year in the winter buying season in Palm Beach County, does that mean we still got a long way to go on pricing? Remember, I called a 40% price drop. Have we gotten there yet? No. But what typically happens is as sales start to pick up, the only reason they pick up is because prices are coming down. It creates downward pressure. 4 deals in a building will recalibrate the entire building and all the pricing. On the way up, when you could work from home, when you didn't have to wear a mask in Florida, thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis, and when Miami Beach allowed you to twerk on a police car on Ocean Drive, everybody flooded in the market in those 4 deals. They kept jacking up the prices over and over and over. Well, we got the numbers. We're going to show you how it played out. We're going to lay it out all out for you, and we're going to give you some indication of what you might be able to expect in the summer buying season, which goes from May through October. I'm going to roll out all those details at our May monthly meeting of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'm doing it at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, the 13th of May. We put together all the numbers. We're going to tell you where are we, where were we, and where we are going. I'll lay out my base case. I'll tell you where I think and what I think is going to be the play, the strategy for the summer buying season. Coming into the winter, well, actually going in the last summer, we called a summer of paralysis by analysis. We thought people were going to sit on the sidelines. Then when we went into the winter, which began in November, remember, it went November to April, we then called for those people who needed to get out to look to exit early in the winter buying season. And then once we hit that tipping point around February 1st and or symbolically, the Miami Beach International Boat Show, as well as the Coconut Grove Arts Festival. Once that weekend hit on President's Day weekend, we said those people who couldn't get out, they were going to need to cut their prices in order to exit. And the numbers are bearing out. The average as well as the median numbers are bearing out that sellers are cutting their price. Some of them can't afford to live in a condo anymore. Prices have gone up substantially since roughly 5 years ago, June of 2021. You had that tower go down in Surfside. A little town, little village on the Barrow Island, Miami-Dade County that's located north of Miami Beach and south of Bell Harbor. That tower went down. Nearly 100 people died. $1 billion settlement was paid out to the family of the victim. And you know what happened as a result of that? Legislation change. Insurance companies didn't want to insure buildings that they didn't know anything about. The legislature in Florida, up in Tallahassee, they put in place some rules that are supposedly all about transparency. Even though they don't want to share all the information, they're all about transparency, both in terms of what information has to be shared by a condo association, but more importantly, studies that have to be done to check the life safety issues, the structural integrity of these buildings. Every 10 years, you got to do a study now. In Florida, it's called the Structural Integrity Reserve Study, or SIRS. At year 30, you got to do something called a milestone inspection, a deep dive into the state and the condition of the building. Both studies done by experts, licensed architect, licensed engineer. They write it up. They give it to the number of people associate a price with what it's going to take to make sure these buildings are safe. That information is then handed over in a report to the condo board of a particular building. Condo board, up until January 1st, 2026, they can defer. They can do the cha-cha-cha. Now they can't. Now they have to fund it. They either have to put in place a special assessment or they got to take out a loan. If they put in place a special assessment, it's typically a year. And that 1 year, if somebody can't pay it, you know what the association does? They move to foreclose. And what happens if everybody in the association, they'd rather take on a loan? The interest rate, because it's coming from private money, it's going to be 9, it'll be 10, it'll be 11%. Mortgage rates are 6.5%. Those are high enough if you talk to some industry leaders, especially after the attack of Iran and what's going on with the global economy. Now you throw in the fact that you got to fund some of this work that's necessary. And you know what's happening? Sellers can't afford it. They're heading for the exits. And the only way to get a buyer off the couch and taking a shot is to discount pricing. During the winter buying season when everybody was in town here, remember November through April, it was easy. It was easier to find a buyer. Why? Because people were coming for an event. They were coming for a vacation. They were coming to go on a cruise. While they're here, they caught the bug. Said, hey, let me go ahead. Let me check it out. Maybe I'll buy a condo. Inevitably, if they were going to buy a condo, they kicked the tires. They found a place. They negotiated. They got it under contract. They funded it. And you know what it closed? It probably closed in about now. So all the shopping that was done in the winter, it tends to close about now. So that means the winter buying season is an ever important time for shopping. And the summer buying season is when you are supposed to close. So those sellers who were holding out because maybe they bought in 2021, 2022, 2023, when you didn't have to wear a mask, you work from home and you could twerk on a police car on Ocean Drive in Miami Beach, they got a certain price that they need to hit, and that price is no longer being met. And because the price is no longer being met, they're holding firm. They got that stiff upper lip, and they think the market's going to come back. Well, I got some bad news for them. Because they didn't sell during this winter, and as we go into the summer, you typically run into heat, humidity, hurricane warnings. You know what all that means? That means many buyers are not going to be down here. The casual buyers, they're not here. They're going to the Hamptons. They're going to Asheville, North Carolina, up in the mountains of western North Carolina. Maybe they're going to Europe. Maybe they're going to Canada. They're going anywhere. They don't want to be here. Heat, humidity, hurricane warnings. As a result of that, the only people in town tend to be data-oriented people looking for a deal, looking for a discount, looking for value. And value does not mean a high price for a seller. And let's play it out. Maybe you find somebody, June, July, you know what people are going to be focused on? FIFA World Cup. We got the World Cup going on. It's being hosted in Canada, United States, and Mexico. If anybody shows up to the United States based on the reports coming out of Europe, we'll see how that goes. But here's the thing. Soccer fans, football fans, whatever you want to call them, they like their football, they like their soccer. Affordability is a big issue down here. You go to get a burger in Miami, you're looking at $20 for a burger. You want fries? That's an extra $5. Put on place a 20% tip, throw some tax in. You're out the door for $35 for a burger. How many people you think are coming here for the World Cup who are just going to go out there and say, oh, this is probably a great time to buy a condo, especially at the pricing? Now, granted, it's pulling back. It hasn't pulled back bigly, I should say, but it is starting to pull back. So developers, sell-side people, they expect this influx of prospective FIFA fans, World Cup fans. Remember, Miami's hosting matches. They're expecting them to bail them out. I would take the opposite end of that trade. I'm not sure that people necessarily want to come in. Remember, traffic through Miami International Airport down 1.25% in 2025. Only the fourth time in the 21st century that it's pulled back. You know when the last time was? The pandemic. Why aren't people coming? Some would argue it has to do with affordability. Others would argue it has to do with guys with masks, driving around in vans, jumping out, grabbing people, throwing them in the back of a van, and then disappearing them. That could be an issue. Remember, foreign buyers represent about 52% of pre-construction condo sales down here in South Florida, according to the Miami Association of Realtors. You know what the super majority of those condo buyers from abroad are? They're coming from Latin America. These are the people who are being targeted for the pop-up detention center out in the Everglades called Alligator Alcatraz. These are real issues that condo owners, sellers who can't afford to live in their condos, these are issues they're facing. Another issue they're facing is special assessments. What are special assessments coming in at? Remember, they got to do the studies. Studies were supposed to be done going into 2025. A lot of associations blew it. They couldn't hit it. State gave them extra time. We'll see how many associations actually completed it yet. But the problem is, once the study is done, what we are ballparking in terms of what the cost is going to be on an association perspective, special assessment, we're saying if your building's up to 4 stories, $25,000. If you are 5 to 14 stories, $65,000 per unit. And then 15 stories or more, that's at least $100,000. What buyer is going to step into that? Nobody. So what's going to happen? Seller on the way out, they're going to have to dip into some of the equity they thought they built, take the haircut, call it a day, allowing a buyer to step forward and come into the marketplace. So prices are coming down. They start to come down small or slightly. And then next thing you know, it's the old stairs up, elevator down. And that's what we're up against right now in the condo market in South Florida. And Palm Beach County is taking advantage of the decrease in pricing, and they are selling more units for the first time in 5 years. Let's go ahead. We're going to pull up some statistics. We're going to show them with you, give you an opportunity to get a glance. We'll show you some charts. We're going to show you line charts, bar charts. Then we'll get into some of the data, some of the statistics. I should tell you, you're watching this, and at this point, we're going to put up a paywall once the video is up and it's edited. Why? Because this is information we share only with members of Miami Condo Investing Club. MiamiCondo.club if you want to get more information. Basically, what it is we're building a community, started in 2024, to provide real-time actionable information that doesn't have the sugar coating of the sell side industry. We're not Chamber of Commerce types. We don't even get invited to Chamber of Commerce events. I got nothing to talk to them about. Why? Because everything's rosy and 1,000 people a day are moving to South Florida, even though South Florida population, well, I should say 1,000 people a day moving to Florida, even though South Florida population fell by 67,000 residents. I thought everybody wanted to be here. How did we lose 67,000 residents? And that was as of July of 2025, the latest numbers from Census Bureau. Just wait until 2026 numbers come out. But anyways, Chamber of Commerce type, they like to talk about 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. You know what they also like to talk about? Gateway to Latin America. Well, Miami just had a decrease in international passenger traffic. It was supposed to go up 8.5%. Instead, it contracted 1.25%. That's about a 10% swing. Those are would-be condo buyers who catch the bug. They say, let me take a shot at a place. Maybe they come to visit friends. They come to visit family, and that's what keeps our condo market going. Doesn't matter if you're in Miami-Dade County, which tends to be more international. Doesn't matter if you're in Palm Beach County, which tends to be more domestic. Doesn't matter if you're in Broward County, which is primarily the feeder for many of the industries in Palm Beach to the north and Miami-Dade to the south. Everybody's impacted. Everybody's boat is floated, if you will, by more people coming to the market and buying condos. Now, what happens if less people are buying? How do you sell units? You sell them like commodities. Condos are commodities. They are salty snacks. They're oil. And by the way, have you seen the price of oil? Whew, that's a lot. And just like pork bellies, they're commodities. They trade like commodities. They are rebar. They are glass. They are cement. Nothing more to them other than marketing. Marketing. Let's put a brand on it. We bring on a brand. We name it. It's going to be a success. Well, according to South Florida Business Journal, a project in downtown Miami in the Brickell Avenue area called the Mercedes-Benz. You guys know that car, the luxury car? Well, there's a condo that was going to be named after it. Well, it still might be, but they got to get through the foreclosure process, according to South Florida Business Journal. So we're seeing a pullback in pricing. We are seeing a pullback potentially in valuations. And as a result of that, we're starting to see sales go up. And nobody knows it better than those in Palm Beach County who are benefiting. Not only besides a discounted pricing because sellers need to get out, but also the Mar-a-Lago effect. President Trump spends his weekends down in West Palm Beach, on Palm Beach Island. People are coming in. They're buying up in and around there. They're trying to be close to the power structure. And that has been a fantastic thing for West Palm Beach, especially if you break out the markets. You know, another thing going on, there's a guy called Stephen Ross. Stephen Ross is out of New York. He's got something called the Related Companies, not to be confused with the Related Group, which is George Perez down in the Miami area. So Stephen Ross, also the guy who owns the Miami Dolphins. So what is he doing? He has a real initiative to try to build out Palm Beach County. He got together with a guy out of Miami-Dade County called Ken Griffin from Citadel. They put some cash into a kitty, and they're out there marketing to the Wall Street types, telling them, hey, forget Mamdani, the new socialist mayor of New York. Come on down to Palm Beach County. Come on down to Miami. They're trying to get them to come down here, saying there's no city income tax. There's no state income tax. You can come down here, do whatever the heck you want. Everybody's here. So maybe that's also a factor. Another factor is we don't have state income tax. Everybody knows that. But in addition, Vanderbilt University, that private university that's in Nashville, Tennessee, that's part of the SEC, not the Securities and Exchange Commission, but the Southeast Conference for football. They're opening up a campus in West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach is coming to its own. As a result, you are seeing sales increase. You're seeing the sales increase not only because of the popularity of everything going on with Mar-a-Lago effect, with Stephen Ross, with Vanderbilt, but also, too, you're seeing sellers head for the exits. And as they head for the exits, it's creating a pretty interesting time in West Palm Beach. West Palm Beach is one of the strongest markets around. You know what other market is strong? Little Havana. Miami's Little Havana is strong because that's overflow coming from greater downtown Miami. There are people who look at the prices and are like, I'm not going to pay this. They're jumping over to Little Havana. But West Palm Beach, a very strong market. You want to know what the worst market is in all the land? Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Fisher Island. We all keep hearing about Fisher Island, this wealthy enclave, and everybody's got cash, wants to be there. You know what? There is no market. Nothing is trading. How do we know this? We got an index. South Florida Condo Association Financial Cliff Index. For short, we call it the South Florida Condo Cliff Index. And what that index is showing is Fisher Island dead in the water. West Palm Beach, rolling. Little Havana and Miami, rolling. So this is what we're doing. We're tracking the numbers. We're sharing it with you. We're giving you actionable information. As mentioned, because you remember the Miami Condo Investment Club, I'm sharing all this information with you. And we're going to wrap up everything on Wednesday, the 13th of May for our monthly meeting, monthly virtual meeting. Had been doing it at noon, but now in the summer buying season, we're pushing it into 4 o'clock slot on Wednesdays. Always the second Wednesday of every month. We do it. Used to be noon, no more noon, 4 o'clock. So we're going across the board. Weekdays, 4 o'clock. I am talking condos. It is live. And because you're a club member, you get to see it all. You can either watch it live and or you see it on demand. You watch it at your convenience. So if you are interested in joining the club, go to miamicondo.club. One added feature we're also going to offer for club members is we're rolling out this summer after 15 years in the making, after a lunch with a banker on Brickell Avenue who told me he needed a way to be able to evaluate condo associations for their financial feasibility and viability. Well, we're starting to rate condo associations. We're finally going to do it. We feel like as if the transparency that was put in place by the legislature is finally opening up the door for us to step into that space and take advantage of it. So club members will be getting access to some of the condo ratings agency information. So that's another reason to join. So if you're talking condos and you're interested in condos and you don't like the Chamber of Commerce, blah, 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 all the time, consider joining the club, miamicondo.club. Let's go ahead. We're going to share the information with you. We're going to start off with